Hello, everyone, and welcome to BodyBags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Tats, and we've done it, ladies and gentlemen. We've come to the end of the Camille, Keaton, and Italy box set. Now, I've already reviewed Sex of the Witch and Tragic Ceremony. Today, we will be talking about 1974's Madeline, Anatomy of a Nightmare. Okay, and I will say that out of the entire box set, I would definitely have to say Madeline, in terms of horror content, Madeline is definitely the weakest one. If I had to rank from best to worst, I would probably say Tragic Ceremony, then Sex of the Witch, then Madeline, because Madeline, while it's not a bad film, but in terms of horror content and everything, Madeline is definitely the weakest one. It's more of like a kind of like a psycho sex drama than it is a horror film, but it's not a bad film. I mean, it's definitely watchable. It has entertainment value and everything, but just, like if you're going into this thinking it's going to be a great kind of like horror cult film or whatever else, there's very little horror element to it. It's kind of dramatic and things. But, I mean, so the movie begins, we're in the nightmare. Of course, the movie's called Anatomy of a Nightmare, so, why not start the movie in a nightmare? And so we see Madeline, played by Camille Keaton, and she's on this little kind of like, a little bit of like a lake or kind of a pond, and she's sitting kind of like on a dock, and she's knitting and everything, and she's pregnant, and she starts seeing things within the tall grass and everything, and then she realized they look like witches, but they're like versions of herself with kind of funny looking hair and things. I think one's got like white hair, one's got like pink hair and stuff. And so she gets up and she's trying to run, and she's trying to get away from them, and as she's they're chasing her, and they're coming towards this clearing and everything. You see these little shots, and they appear throughout the film, of basically like race car, like a guy getting into a race car, and then the race car is driving, and the car crashes, and you could definitely tell it's stock footage of a race car crash, and things. And of course, at first you're not really understanding what the hell's going on, but as the movie goes on, it does. By the end of the movie, they kind of explain, why she's getting these images in her head. But she goes to this clearing, and she sees this car that's on fire, and these witches slash versions of herself, they bring this, they kind of like on a stretcher, like a handmade stretcher, they bring this casket. I don't know if you can see it there, but inside the casket is a baby doll, and they put it on this fire, and it's burning and everything. And then Madeline wakes up, and she's in Rome. She's with her husband. Her husband is a doctor, Franz, and he studies both like kind of like the occult, but he studies psychology and things like this. And she's explained to him she had this bad dream, and then what we realize is that Madeline was a woman who was pregnant, and being a mother, having a baby, was like her biggest wish in the world. It was her biggest desire. It was the one thing she wanted more than anything else in the world. And she got pregnant, she had a miscarriage, and it has done a lot of psychological damage to her. And so her and her husband Franz, they're vacationing, and they're trying to get things, trying to get her back into a better place. And he's trying to explain to her what he thinks their dream meant and everything. And so she goes, and she gets in the car, and Camille Keaton, she looks stunningly gorgeous in this movie. I mean, she's like she's very sexual, very provocative, and everything else. But of course, the movie's very erotic in a lot of ways. So she gets in, she's driving, she goes to the store. On her way home, she sees this, hitchhiker. His name is Thomas, so she picks him up and everything, and she takes him back to the house. And so, well, at first he wants to go to the beach, so he could go swimming. She's like, no, come over to my place. There's a lot better swimming there. It's like the view from the beach is so much better and everything else. So, he's not gonna, hey, he's with this, super hot woman, so of course he's not gonna refuse. So they go back to the house, and she introduces him to Franz, and he's like, okay, yeah, this is a little awkward. You didn't tell me you were married and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's like, here, go down the pool, go swimming and stuff like that. And so he goes swimming and everything. She comes up and she, he's all like, okay, you got your bathing suit? Well, she takes her robe off and there's nothing underneath. So, they go swimming nude and everything. But Franz is seeing all of this. And so, it's like it's getting close. But you kind of realize, like, she likes, prolonging, the, the playtime, So she decides they're going to go in, make something to eat. So he goes in there and, they make love and everything. And so, he goes and Franz says, hey, Thomas, can you come here? And so he explains to Franz that, that Madeline is, she has kind of schizophrenic tendencies and things like this. And so he's all like, well, go ahead and go say goodbye to Madeline and everything. So they get on a boat and everything. And she's like telling them about her dream and everything else. And he's just, nah, it's just a nightmare. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Well, then Louis, Franz's son, he comes in. And the thing is like, apparently Franz never told him that he was married to this woman, Madeline, or whatever. But anyway, so Louis, he comes home. He's been like at school or whatever. And so he comes home. And so Madeline introduces herself as, not as his stepmother, but as his father's assistant. And so the two of them start having an affair. And the thing is we find out that, the thing about Madeline is she is so desperate to have a baby that she starts having all of these affairs because her main goal is she wants to get pregnant again. And, the thing is like in the movie, they never really discuss, they never really say whether she's able to get pregnant or not, But it is mentioned in the movie that she is so fearful that Franz cannot get her pregnant. Therefore, she feels like she has to, go out and have these, these liaisons with all these different men, in the hopes that she can get pregnant again. But so anyway, she's now, trying to seduce, Franz's son and everything. And at one point she's driving, she goes to the university, she runs into Thomas again, and he tells her he can't see her because, she's married, but he has a fiance. And she's like, okay, that's cool. Well, my husband's having a party and everything. And so, just come on down and, enjoy the party. Bring your girlfriend. It'll be fine, and all this stuff. So he's like, okay. So they have this party and everything. And, Louis, and Mary, Thomas's fiance, it turns out that, both Madeline and Franz have some plans for her. At one point, Madeline slips something in her drink and she drinks it, and then she starts, getting all wild and everything. She starts dancing. It's kind of interesting because she's got this dress, and the way this dress is put together, it's like it's put together in pieces. And it's like as she's dancing, she takes like a piece at a time off. And this movie is incredibly 70s. I mean, it came out in 74, but yeah, this movie is incredibly 70s, But she's dancing. I mean, she pretty much strips everything down and she's dancing and all this kind of stuff. And so they're like, oh, we need to take her in and get her lie down and stuff. And Thomas is like, oh my God, my fiance and all that. And Franz, don't worry about it. So they take Mary in, they lay her down, and you pretty close get to a girl-on-girl scene with Madeline and Mary. But Franz comes in and is like, nope, hey, take a hike. And so she leaves, and then Franz, and Mary, I believe they get it on, or they at least try to. Well, so now Thomas, he's all worried about Mary and everything else. And so, Louis, he's, with Madeline and all this kind of stuff. So Thomas, he goes up to the window and he sees, Franz in the bedroom with Mary, and he flips out, which I think is actually kind of funny. It's like, okay, a little hypocritical of you there, dude. It's like you had no problems sleeping with Madeline, when Madeline, you knew Madeline had a husband. You had no problems sleeping with Madeline, but now, here's a guy, her husband's, doinking your fiance, and now all of a sudden you're pissed. It's like, okay, a little hypocritical of you there, buddy. But anyway, so they get into a fight and everything else. And, yeah, I think I better kind of leave it at that because, we're kind of getting to the conclusion. The movie's a very slow burn. But it does build up to something. You do get to kind of an interesting, kind of rousing conclusion of the film, and you get to find out a lot of interesting things about the whole situation. Does Lewis realize that actually that Madeline is actually his stepmother and not his father's assistant and everything? How does what does Madeline and Franz do? Is Madeline actually able to achieve her goal of getting pregnant? Does she ever fully understand her her nightmare and everything? So I think I'll just go ahead and leave it at that. But ultimately, like I said, it's not a bad film. It's a very slow burn, but there's as you can tell from everything I just told you, there's very, very little horror element to this. This movie, like I said, is more like a kind of like a psycho sex drama. It's not really, it's not, it's not scary at all. There's no gore or anything like that. So I would definitely say that yeah, this one is pretty much, in terms of, like I said, it's not a bad film. Okay, I would actually watch it. Camille Keaton gives a really good performance. So do the other actors in the film, and Camille Keaton in the movie, she looks amazing. She looks stunning, you know. Um, but she does a really good job. The other actors do too. It is an interesting story, it does kind of hook you in, but just in terms of horror and like I said, it's not scary at all. It's not gory. There's just not much to it in terms of horror. So I would definitely say so. Yeah. So I think we're gonna kind of leave it at that. And with that, here we go. Kind of like symbolism here or something, I guess. We're gonna say, all right, we are done. We have now completed the Camille Keaton in Italy box set. Thank you, Vinegar Syndrome. Beautiful box set. I still recommend picking this up though. The picture quality is amazing. The bonus features are interesting. The interviews with Camille Keaton are very interesting. It's very interesting to hear about her experiences making movies in Italy. Doing films like What Did You Do to Solange, and making movies like these, and then coming back, and she does talk about some of her experiences on I Spit on Your Grave and things like this. And so yeah, so I would definitely say if you could get this for a good price like I did, I'd say pick it up. It's worth it, but anyway, so that's that. So if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you haven't already, go and subscribe to the BodyBags channel. There's a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I am the Saturday reviewer. We have different guys. Everybody's all doing great stuff. We have a lot of theme weeks coming up. We have, label weeks, year weeks. I think our next year week is like horror films of 1983. That's going to be fun. I've already got a good one picked out for that one. The one thing I do though, I think for April and May, I have not figured out what movies I'm going to do for the random week. So I think I got 4 of them. I need to figure out 4 movies I need to do for my random week. So anyway, that's it, everybody. Take care. Have a good night, and I'll see you later.